Hello friends. Time to start reviewing on our first term performance. I know you all had been contributing a fantastic job, and children are all happy coming to school. They're all settled with school. They're all settled with you, and I know settling is one episode of the teacher's job, and the second episode of the job is how good have you rendered the job, because your visibility is getting to test now. Your parents are looking to judge what kind of a teacher you make. Your managements are waiting to see the feedback that the parents are going to contribute. And all this contribution comes from the performance of the child's first evaluation. So, dear teachers, today the agenda of my meeting happens to be, how do we reflect upon our first term? How do we really help children to perform better on an assessment tool? And for this, I want my teachers to understand what is the criteria for us to assess the child, what are we really looking at, and how do we want to conduct an assessment at that very young age, not allowing the child to feel the stress. So I'm just here on this video to tell you how do we share this assessment policy, and how do we really give that comfort zone for the child to give his best on the paper, or give his best presentation to you in the classroom, so that you could really convince your parent how good you could get connected to your children, and how did you complement his learning right from the month of June to September. So come September, we are all facing a kind of difficult situation, because we are all being put on a test to see how good we have taught our children in the classrooms, what amount of learning have the children picked up at this age. I know we have done miracles, but sometimes children are not willing to open and showcase their learning that's being done in the class. Sometimes some of your favorite children who have done their best, who have always kept you very happy with a smile, keep a very tough lip and do not even open up to tell what they have picked up all these days. So do not panic, teachers. That's how children really come out when it comes to assessment or testing. So just my tips today are here to tell you how do you really tell your child that he is doing a marvelous job. Give him a pat, and make him present the best, so that you also feel very complimented. Oh my god, I did a marvelous job. So, dear teachers, I always, contributed one major fact to all my teachers is, when children come from gifted homes, job is always a very beautiful thing to do. But when children come from lot of challenges, when I say challenges at home, to me they're not financial challenges or all this, but challenges in terms where parents do not stay at home, or parents are not educated enough, or children do not have their own space of learning. So there are a lot of challenges that a child faces at home before he comes to school. We all agree that school is one episode of teaching and learning, but the extension of learning is always from the house. But unfortunately, when our parents cannot complement our teaching in the school, we have to become more and more responsible. When children come from gifted homes, there's no trouble. But when children do not come from gifted homes and come from lot of challenging setbacks, our responsibility increases fourfold. So I want to tell you that do not do the teaching job just as a duty, but do it as a responsibility. When you try disintegrating the fact, the difference between a job and a responsibility, job is something that can be performed monotonously, not connecting emotions to it. But when you talk about responsibility, you feel that you have taken a personal onus to see that you are trying to move the child from one level of performance to next level of learning. So we all need to agree when we are trying to give them a progress report. Every parent is waiting to see the progress rather than listening negative comments of not performing either to your classroom expectations or according to your teaching. We need to remember the word progress itself is telling us that we have to take the child from one level of learning to the next level of performance or next level of learning. Therefore, I want my young teachers who have dedicated all their time and energy to be more focused while conducting an assessment. So, dear teachers, we need to understand that whenever we are having exams, which are going to come very soon after this first vacation break, I understand when children go back home for a small vacation, let it be for 2 or 3 days, or let it be for 1 week, they come back as fresh as cabbages. So your challenge again starts. What have I done all these days? So now you plan your vacation in such a way that the child will not disintegrate his classroom learning when he's staying at home and enjoying his vacation. But at the same time, you need to be so organized. How do you want to conduct the assessment in a classroom? So whenever it's time for you to put a child on an assessment, especially a written assessment, I want my teachers to have a complete summary of the classroom. So when I say complete summary of the classroom, I want you people to understand, probably you have a strength of 20 or 24 children, or sometimes even 30 children in a classroom. What I want you to tell is, you have to start building them into groups of children who perform, children who are gifted, who can do it independently without your direction, children who need a little push and a drive, children who need a pat continuously, and children who needs to be supervised all the time. So there are different categories of learners. So I want you people to be ready. Children who can perform without my help, children who need a small gentle push, into another group, children who need a strong drive that he is capable, building his esteem and making him perform. For children who definitely need lot of supervision, word to word support from you. And this is where I want my teachers to understand, this is the majority of children who are there in the class. Gifted children are, maybe 10%. Children who need little push and drive are, to an extent of, 20-25%. Children who need a little of, pat, and then, a lot of esteem support to be delivered are majority in number. And there is one category of children who sometimes really test your patience. But always remember, these are the children who are creating challenge for you to excel, excel professionally in terms of being a teacher. So I want you people to call this fourth segment of children who need lot of support from you as well as from the parents. Call these parents, keep the notebooks of the children, talk to them page by page and explain them that they need to look into the difficulty area, why the child is not able to pick the learning, and reproduce it on the paper. So once you call this parent and give him one-on-one counseling and tell him, this is the area where your child is not able to crack or is not able to understand my direction, I want you to repeat this exercise at home. This personally helps your parent to understand that you are trying to take care of the children who are being overlooked. It's very easy for the parent to find a fault with our mechanism. So it's our job to clear that, we are all focused, we are all planned, we are all very organized. So please call the parent, make him understand the levels of the child, and tell him what is the best thing that is possible from your end, and what is the kind of support that you are trying to expect from the parent. So I'm going from the back to the forward movement. I'm starting from the fourth category of learners, children who are not able to perform according to the grade level expectancy and are facing a lot of challenge, is the first priority for us. Therefore, call those parents, help them understand, and tell them what is that you are expecting from the parent. And if you think, probably when we give them extra practice sheets to be done at home, and you tell them the blueprint of the paper, how you are planning to assess the child, what kind of a paper the child is going to face, I'm very sure the parent also would compliment our efforts and would also appreciate your endeavor in understanding the child to help him perform better. He also would do his mile. So we need to understand that the responsibility between the school and the parent, the school and the home is, like shaking hands and complimenting each other. So education is not a single hand effort. Education is always a mutual effort from the school and the house. Therefore, involve the parent, make him feel responsible, and give him the faith that you are with the child, that you are with the parent, and you are willing to make a change in his learning pattern. So once you finish this fourth category of learners, you need to understand there is again another category of children who can definitely do their bit when you are more focused about it. Here, you don't really need the parental support, but it is your individual learning plan. I always wanted my teachers to have IEPs or ILPs, that is individual, you know, education plan or individual learning plan, because these children, until and unless they feel that the adult who's working with them in the classroom is focused and knows them better and has a lot of intimacy to understand their difficulty area, will start contributing. So I want you to, sit with this kind of children, tell them, 101, hey, you're so good at this, Anil, try working on this, on this pattern, or try, understanding it this way. So you teachers have to be so good enough to be, ready with kinds of preparation sheets or practice sheets. See, there are a lot of activities that were given to you to tell you how do you reinforce or recapitulate letters and numbers in the first series of DVDs that were given to you. I just request my teachers to go back to those DVDs, make some time, watch it in, small chunks of time, maybe 15 minutes a day or, 20 minutes a day. If you can start, making note of all the activities, I'm very sure your classroom teaching is going to be fun. Your children will start enjoying the time that you are contributing for their learning, and they would start falling in love with the school. So therefore, teachers, the third category of learners are all, can be, repaired, can be put on a very good stream of learning if you can take that heart to understand and tell them, I'm with you, let's shake hands and, work together as a team. That's where you don't become a teacher, but you become their real mentor and you start buddying with them. They feel, oh my god, my teacher is my best buddy and she knows how to make me work. So I want my teachers to give this kind of support when they're trying to, prepare an assessment. The second category of children are, over enthusiastic, little bubbly and chirpy. So maybe, they end up doing small mistakes in haste. So just tell them, hey, you are good at this area, but probably if you can, put more interest into this and, try buying little time, you are on the top and you make a star. And then, then comes the first category of children who are very smart, go-getters. In fact, they can become mentors for their peer group. So you have to, tell them, how smart they are and, how to make them feel more responsible towards buddy learning. See, these children are so capable that you give them challenges, they enjoy it and, come back with a lot of enthusiasm. But we know because they are sparks, they end up doing the paper very fast. They, at times, because of their hyperactiveness, they start disturbing the other children in the classroom who are capable of performing but get deviated because these children have completed their task a little early. So, while you are trying to take a test also, see that you give a group instruction and do not take the exam on 101 pattern. Only except for the fourth category of learners, I want you people to have a common instruction while giving the papers and trying to tell them, bit 1, what are you supposed to do? What is that I am expecting you to do? Make them do bit by bit, question by question. Then your assessment is going to be easy. But if you think children are very smart, they can work on their own and you give them papers and let loose the control on the class, these different categories of children start producing the paper at different levels of time, which becomes unmanageable. So your instruction for the whole class has to be simultaneous. Let's work with the first bit children. Are you all ready with the pencils? Especially teachers who are working with LKG and nursery should write down the names of the children, the date and the subject that needs to be completed. All the formalities have to be completed by the teacher and then the papers have to be issued. Okay, maybe for UKG children are capable of writing down their name. So the teachers need not worry when the child is in, UKG 1 or preparatory 2. Now, when it comes to, taking an assessment, you go, bitwise. The first bit, when everybody has completed, take a look question by question. See that every child is able to complete the paper as per your explanation. Okay. Two, wait for everybody to complete, then go for the second bit. Okay. I want you to do this review, that's called as eye correction. You go into the lanes of the classroom, look into each and every child and tell them, hey, you did an awesome job. Just to wait for everybody to complete. Okay. So when you give this assurance and wait even for the, average children to perform according to the pace of time that you have divided, I'm very sure the paper is going to be very beautiful. But majority of the time, what my teachers try doing is, they will give freedom for those children who are capable of doing it on their own. They ask them to finish the paper. And when it comes to these children, the fourth category or the third category of children, they start calling them to their desk side and start making the child do independently. Now, what happens when you do this process is, one, you're giving a message to the child that you are there to help him personally, standing next to him, so that he will not make any effort to be on his own. Okay. Two, when you encourage children to come to your bench, children will start pooling around you and it creates a chaos in the classroom. So, teachers, be very cool, be very organized. Tell them, how you are going to help them do the paper at one go. Okay, this is very, very important for my teachers to understand this. Okay, and whenever it is time for you for the oral examination, okay, I'm just moving from the written component to oral examination. We know when it is oral examination, sometimes my teachers, maybe lack of time, or maybe because there are too many children in the classroom, fail to divide the time according to number of children who can perform in one slot. So dear teachers, what you need to do is, whenever you are taking a oral examination with the child, call them, fix, like, the top 5 numbers on day one. You need not wait till the exam date. You can start taking the oral evaluation, maybe 1 week before you start your paper. Okay. So call children in, one by one. Take 5 children a day and do a thorough scrutiny how much the child is able to identify and answer your oral questioning, and then make a clear cut remark in the general observation record. I wanted my teachers to have a reminder about it. When I said general observation record, I told them to maintain a register with one page dedicated to one child with their photo, pinned up to the paper. I wanted you to record the parents' names, the phone numbers, and the personal data. The information about the child should be recorded on day-to-day basis. Probably on one particular day, a child is very sick. You make a note, the child did not perform anything during the written time because he was very sick. So when you have this information and when you have a parental meeting, it's very easy for you to refer the register and share the information